This is a man's world, but it would be nothing without a woman or a girl. James Brown dropped some bars in his time, and since it's Women's History Month, it got me thinking about all the heroines who have graced our game consoles throughout the years. Yeah, you got your Faiths, and your Clementines, and your Jades, and your Alexes, and your Alexes. Okay, you get the point. This is only a fraction of the playable leading women we have in gaming today, but they wouldn't have made it where they are without somebody first breaking the glass ceiling. Who were the women that did that? Well, here's my list of the top 5 most influential female video game characters. This time around, my parameters are as follows. Playable characters only. No boss characters or supporting characters. Classic characters only. Don't expect to see anybody on this list that debuted during the last few console generations. They must have influenced the industry in a significant way, at least in my opinion. That's all there is to it, so let's begin. Number 5. Miss Pac-Man. This one is unsurprising but also interesting, as I had no knowledge of this at the time of me making this video. So basically, Bandai Namco holds the rights to the IP and the copyright, but then there's some royalty stuff that's still kind of tied up, so nobody really knows who owns what as far as that goes. Anyway, Miss Pac-Man vastly improves over the original in several ways in terms of sound, AI, and level layout. Miss Pac-Man is also one of the first playable women in gaming. The downside is that she's basically Pac-Man with a bow and makeup. It kind of feels like her being a woman was an afterthought and not really planned out, but you have to start somewhere. Number 4. Alice Landale. Who the fuck is this? Well, she is the main protagonist of the first game in Sega's often forgotten Phantasy Star series. Notice I said Phantasy Star, not Phantasy Star Online. Basically, Phantasy Star is like Warcraft and Phantasy Star Online is like World of Warcraft. The MMO just became more popular than the regular series it spawned from, however the hell that happened. Alice is an orphan who gets raised by her brother, but eventually must avenge him as she goes on a journey across outer space, which eventually turns into a mission to save the world. Female leads in RPGs are a dime a dozen these days, especially in JRPGs. At the time, your protag was some Fabio-looking motherfucker, and that was it. Speaking of JRPGs, Phantasy Star beat out his JRPG rivals by several years. I guess you could say, Alice walked so Terra could run. Number 3. Lara Croft. There's a time if you ask some normie on the street who Lara Croft is, they would either reply with yes or say, oh, that Angelina Jolie thing. We'll get to that. When Tomb Raider originally released in 1998, Lara set the world on fire. The girl was everywhere, from TV to ads to films, and even to magazine spreads, becoming the first prominent sex symbols in gaming. This was a point of contention for some people. While some saw Lara as a strong, competent female character, there was others that thought her over-sexualization made her a bad role model for young girls. Unfortunately, what screwed Lara over was not the debate over her as a character, but the quality of her games. Ever since Chronicles, the franchise struggled to find steady footing until she was rebooted with a new trilogy in 2013. Lara could have easily been higher up on the list if not for the 2 spots doing what she did, but years earlier and more consistently. Number 2. Samus Aran. It's 1986. It's just you, your NES, and a copy of Metroid. Over the course of time, you and Samus go on missions across planet Zebes to take out some space pirates and eliminate the Metroid threat. Eventually, you defeat Mother Brain and escape Zebes to find out the guy that you've been playing the whole time wasn't a guy at all, but a woman. Anybody who games today knows that Samus is a woman. But how would you know otherwise just by going off the sprite? Also, this is the 80s, meaning it's way too early for the internet to be a thing, and the instruction booklet intentionally refers to Samus using male pronouns. There's no dialogue or Metroid or any type of sounds to go off of, so the only way you would know is if you would beat the game really fast or put in a password. This is an amazing twist in a genre where female playable characters were virtually unheard of at the time. Outside of one major fuck-up, Samus has always been one of the pillars of strong female game characters. And as awesome as Samus is, she gets edged out slightly by one individual. Number 1. Chun-Li. Chun-Li is very special. She debuted in a genre that was relatively new at the time. She was prominently featured across SF2 promos and was a playable character in a competition that is usually dominated by men. And she kicked ass. Seriously, check out these moves. You have the Hyakuretsukin, the Kikoken, and her iconic spinning bird kick. And then there's the cherry on the sundae, her win quote. Yep, can't argue with that. Before I say that Samus was slightly edged out for one reason. That reason is that Chun-Li wasn't hidden. The moment you booted up Street Fighter 2 and saw this woman and you played as her and you saw how cool she was, it didn't matter if she was a woman or not. It was you and Chunners against the world, and gamers wouldn't have it any other way. I wonder if her win quote inspired several gamer girls growing up back in the day. Or maybe they just like kicking the shit out of dudes.